Okay, welcome to Module 5, Chapter 15. We've only got 2 chapters to go. We're almost done, believe it or not. This chapter is about collective bargaining and labor relations. So first, what's the role of the union? Labor unions represent their members' interests and resolve conflicts with their employer. So if I have a problem with my employer because I'm a member of a union, I can go to my union and say, hey, I'm being treated unfairly, and the union can take up my grievance with the employer or the college. Labor relations is a field emphasizing labor management cooperation, involves the labor relations strategy, negotiating contracts, and administering contracts. Now we have 4 unions here at the college. The maintenance people are 1 union, the support staff are 1 union, the full-time faculty are 1 union, and the part-time faculty also has their own union. So the role of unions in labor relations: national and international unions, they're craft unions. Members have a particular skill or occupation. Industrial union members are linked by their work in a particular industry. And most national unions are affiliated with the AFL-CIO. The largest union in the United States is the National Education Association with 2.1 million members. They're the NEA. Local unions. National unions consist of multiple local units. So they're the big umbrella over the local units. Most day-to-day interaction between the labor and management involves the local union. Membership in the local union depends on its type. Members elect officials and vote on resolutions to strike. Union steward is someone who's elected to represent the union and ensure the terms of the contract are enforced. So you usually have someone who works with you that's considered a union steward that you could go to when you have a problem. So some trends in union management membership. Peaked in the 1950s, reaching over 1/3 of employees. Now at 10.7 overall, 6.5 of the private sector employment. Decline in membership is due to many reasons. First of all, change in the structure of economy, management efforts to control costs, human resource practices, and government regulation. So there just goes to show you here is the union membership density among U.S. wage and salary workers from 76 to 17. You can see the public unions have pretty much stayed while the private unions have declined. So unions and government. Membership among government and workers is strong. Government regulations and laws support the right of government and workers to organize. And that's under Executive Order 10988, establishing the collective bargaining rights. Labor rights are different with government workers. Strikes are illegal for federal and state employees in most states. As a matter of fact, the teachers, the faculty cannot strike. It's under the Taylor Law. It's written that we can't. We agree to work under the previous contract. They have to leave the previous contract in force until we settle a new one. Almost all states prohibit strike forces by police and firefighters at the local level. Could you imagine if our police department went on strike? Be crazy. The impact of unions on company performance. Organizations are concerned about the impact of unionization on productivity, profits, and stock performance. Experts have had conflicting views about it. Some like it, some don't. Research reflects the average effects of the unions, not individual companies, and innovative labor relations. Skillful labor relations can positively influence outcomes. So, with the decline of union membership, how do you feel about labor unions in today's work society? Do you think they're very effective? Do you think they're most useful in the private sector, most useful in the public sector, or more industries have union representation? Well, you can debate any one of these. Okay, so management goals. Management goals is always to increase profits. That's their number one priority that they have to do. They have to keep an eye on the bottom line, limit increases in wages and benefits, retain control over work rules and schedules, maintain flexible operations to meet competitive challenge and customer demands. So the labor union's goals, the other side of the table: obtain pay and working conditions that satisfy members, give members a voice in a decision that affects them, membership linked to better compensation and benefits, and the regular flow of new members essential to survive, goals obtained through power in numbers. A good movie about the startup of a union is Norma Ray. So if you're really bored at sometime and you want to watch it, it stars Sally Field, and it's all about the start of a textile factories union, and it's quite accurate. It's based on a real person. Crystal something was her name. I can't think of it at the moment, but it's very interesting to watch. So their goals continued is check off contract provision under which an employer on the behalf of the union automatically deducts union dues from employees' paychecks. So there's closed shop unions, union shop, agency shop, and the maintenance of membership. Societal goals. The union activities take place within the context of society. Society values, drives laws and regulations that affect the unions. In 2018, the Supreme Court held that public employee unions may not require workers to pay dues. Before, the thinking was, okay, I work at NCCC and I don't want to be in the union, but I pay dues anyway, regardless, because if something happens and say the college takes away my pay for something, the union still has to represent me even though I'm not a member, because it would affect other members and could possibly set precedents for them to take away their wages as well. So the thought was, well, we'll just charge everybody. But someone took it to court and the Supreme Court said, nope, you can't do that. Okay, so the National Labor Relations Act protects the following activities: union organizing, joining a union whether recognized by the employer or not, going out on strike, refraining from activity on behalf of the union. Most employees in the public sector are covered by the NLRA. So laws amending it: first is Taft-Hartley Act of 1947. Right to work laws. State laws make union shops, maintenance of membership, and agency shops illegal. Employees are free to join a union or not. You have a choice. Union believes that all employees who receive union benefits should pay union dues. Can legally be applied to the private sector. The Lauderdale-Griffin Act of 1959 regulates unions' actions with regard to their members, including financial disclosure and conduct of elections. So these are the states with right to work laws. None in the South. Do you notice that? Okay. So the National Labor Relations Board is the federal agency that enforces this act. It consists of a 5-member board, a general counsel, and 52 regional and other field offices. It conducts and certifies representation elections, and it prevents unfair labor practices. Okay, union organization, the process of organizing. Union representatives can contact employees. The employees are invited to sign authorization cards. 30% must sign for process to continue. If not signed, they conduct a secret ballot election. You can have a consent election or a stipulation election. Workers vote for or against union representation. Now, the part-time faculty did not have a union when I started working here. They organized while I was here, and it was very interesting to see these union reps would get their class schedule and go stand outside the door waiting for the class to be over to try and talk to the part-time faculty to get them to sign. And 30% of them did sign, so eventually they got the union. Okay, so Table 15, I'm not going to go through it all. 15.2 is what supervisors should and should not do to discourage unions. You can read through those in the book. So some union strategies: organizers call or visit employees at home to talk about issues like pay and security. They offer associate and union membership, sort of like a junior membership. They conduct corporate campaigns. They negotiate provisions into contracts, either employer neutrality or card check provisions. Now this is all represented in that movie that I was talking about, Norma Ray, so if you get to take a look at it, it's a good movie. Decertifying union, maybe we want to get rid of the union. The Taft-Hartley Act expands the members' rights to be represented by leaders of their own choosing. Decertification, when members vote out the existing union, it follows the same process of representation elections and may not occur when a contract is in effect. Now, we actually decertified our full-time faculty union. We were part of a union when I started here, a national union, and we didn't feel that they were representing us well. We had been for many years without a contract, and they weren't providing us the support, specifically leadership support, legal leadership. And we decided to form our own union, and that's what we have to this day. Collective bargaining is the union and management representatives negotiate to arrive at a contract defining the conditions of employment. You come to an agreement and keep it in a contract. Typical contracts include provisions for pay, benefits, work rules, and resolution of grievances. Bargaining structure varies by the situation. So not all contracts are created equal. Okay, 15.3 gives some typical provisions in collective bargaining. Again, you can read through that in the book. Bargaining new contracts, you need to prepare for bargaining is important. Establish objectives for contract, review the old contract, gather data, predict likely demands. Establish the cost of meeting demands. A union and management will present proposals. Okay, this is our side, what we want. We want more money. We want less students in each class, etc. Where management might say, we want more. We want to pay you less. We want you to pay more for your medical, and we want bigger class sizes. Each side considers the proposal, and the union and management attempt to reach an agreement. When bargaining is unsuccessful, work stoppages could ensue, but again, we can't do that here at the college. Work stoppages, there's two different types. There's a strike, which is a collective decision by union members not to work until certain demands are met or conditions are met. Lockout is the other side. The employer excludes workers from the workplace until they meet certain conditions. Alternates to work stoppages. We talked earlier in the semester about mediation and arbitration, where you have an objective person hear the argument to try and help you come to a resolution. Mediation, they try to agree, but it's not binding. Arbitration, it is binding. Fact finding is the third option. Third party reports reasons for dispute, views, and arguments for both sides, and possibly recommends a settlement. Okay, contract administration is carrying out the terms of the agreement, resolving conflicts over interpretation or violations of the agreement. The grievance procedure, the process for resolution of the union management conflicts. It's an important means of getting fair treatment in the workplace. Key influence on the contract is administration success. Okay, then they give you the steps. Again, you can read that through the book. Which of the following statements about unions is true? Mediation requires each party to abide by the mediator's decision. Integrated bargaining involves win-lose approach because of the issues. It's considered a fixed pie. A union steward represents the issues concerning union employees and is elected by them. A strike is when the employer excludes workers from the workplace until they meet certain conditions. Well, A is false, right? B is false, and D is false. That's the opposite. It's the employees who excludes them, not the employer. That would be a lockout. So C is the correct answer. New approaches in labor relations. Traditionally, the two sides are viewed as adversaries. Now, cooperation between labor and management hopefully can be achieved. The NLRB supports the employees' involvement in work teams and decision making because they're the ones that it ultimately affects. And non-union representation systems, there's management established systems. Representatives of the employees meet with management to discuss without a formal union agreement. And a work center, nonprofit organization offering members services such as training, legal advice, lobbying, and worker advocacy.